Jagur, you're having your Sunday off?
Yeah, sort of. Is my Sunday full of kata now?
So we can go ahead and start. Ganya gana go to Goloruharam, Goranga Duratama Gopyata Kopa Briksham, Gopala Gada Ratidam, Yati Sinha Gora Govind, Eshikavaram Satatam. Dhamma adama kichuna bachila janchiya dile kakola kahe premananda emona goranga hridaya dhariya bola Bhaja Goranga Kaha Goranga Laha Gorangera Namare Jai Jana Goranga Bhaje Se Hayamara Pranare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yashaiva Padambu Bhakti Labhya Prema Vidhana Parama Pumata Tasmai Jagan Mangala Mangalaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Madgavirapi Gopala Sri Kriyat Kripaya Jari Tadaiva Sambhayam Pidvari Shri Gustat Priya Janaha Shri Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Sasanatana Rupakam Gopala Raghunatha Rajabala Vipahima Panchakopatarubhishcha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, it's really nice to see everybody here today. So this is our 17th session in the series we're calling Mahaprabhu's Bhajan Gambhira. And this is our final session we're going to do. Just looking back a little bit, we spoke something about why Mahaprabhu went to Jagannath Puri, what was the special quality of Puri, what was the special quality of the Gambhira, who is Kashi Mishra, why is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going and doing bhajan in his house, who are the different lifetimes of Kashi Mishra, both in the past and what our Goswamis write about in the future. What are the physical characteristics of the Gambhira? What are the associates there in the Gambhira? And we spoke about a few of them, both negative and positive. And we spoke something in our last few sessions about Sri Damodar and about Roy Ramananda. And in our last session, we spoke about three different states of consciousness that Mahaprabhu is in the Gambhira. We're covering these things in a rapid way, especially today's session. We're going to have to do that because there's a lot of different things I'd like to point at. But our purpose is to kind of, in a way, give a little bit of a road sign or pointing in a certain direction, because there's so much more that could be said about all these subjects. So we've been hearing about how Mahaprabhu in the Gambhira, his mood was the same mood of the gopis and Srimati Radharani when Krishna had left from Mathura. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes it, Radhikara Bhavi Prabhu Sada Abhiman Se Bhavi Apameki Hoy Radha Gyan. Put this in the word here, it's important. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 14, text 14. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's emotions exactly corresponded to those of Srimati Radharani when she met Uddhava. The Lord always conceived of himself in her position and sometimes thought that he was Srimati Radharani himself. In one of our previous sessions, we also spoke something about Uddhava and how Uddhava manifests in Jagannath Puri and his role in Gaura Lila. So Mahaprabhu is in the mood of Srimati Radharani, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Adi Lila chapter 4, he explains that it's only Srimati Radharani who can taste the nectar of his Krishna sweetness. And he says that Vichar Koriye Jari Aswada Upai. He says, I deliberate on some way to taste it. And thinking about then Radhikara Surpoite Tabi Manadoy, I want to have the position of Srimati Radharani. This is from Adi Lila 4, chapter 100, text 145. And Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport, Krishna's attractiveness is wonderful and unlimited. No one can know the end of it. Srimati Radharani alone can relish such extensiveness from her position in the Ashraya category. The mirror of Srimati Radharani's transcendental love is perfectly clear, yet it appears clearer and clearest in the transcendental method of understanding Krishna. In the mirror of Radharani's heart, the transcendental features of Krishna appear increasingly new and fresh. In other words, the attraction of Krishna increases in proportion to the understanding of Srimati Radharani. Each tries to supersede the other. Neither wants to be defeated, increasing the intensity of love, desiring to understand Radharani's attitude of increasing love. Lord Krishna appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this purport has so much packed into it. Srila Prabhupada uses the word ashraya. And my Guru Maharaj oftentimes uses this phrase, Priti Ashraya and Priti Vishroy, Priti Vishroy and Priti Ashraya. Krishna is Priti Vishroy. He is the object of love. And as God, the supreme object of love, it's not possible for him to understand the Priti Ashraya or what the Ashraya, what the abode of love is experiencing. And so Krishna, thinking about that, he wanted to have the position of Srimati Radharani. Because Krishna, he told the gopis, Naparayeham nidavadya samyujam swasadu krityam vibudaya sapiva, that I am in debt to you. I don't know how to repay my debt. Yapratiyatu sadhuna. Krishna tells the gopis this, that in order to repay my debt, I have to become a sadhu. I have to come in the mood of a devotee. And so that's Gaura Lila. But in Gaura Lila, there's different divisions. Kaviraj Goswami says that he spends 25 years in Navadvip, in his Niyamai Pandit Lila, his Grihastha. And then he takes sannyas, and he spends 6 years in South India. And then he 24 years as a Grihastha, Navadvip. And then he spends another 6 years in Jagannath Puri with his devotees. Then he get another 6 years he spends locking himself up in the Gambhira. So this is the divisions of Gaura Lila, and it wasn't until Mahaprabhu Krishna went to Jagannath Puri and in the Gambhira, and that's pastimes, that he was able to taste the mood of Srimati Radharani. Now this is a subject that many devotees don't think about very much, Mahaprabhu's pastimes in the Gambhira. They seem to be so extraordinary and so far out and so far, far beyond all of us. But we have to ask a question, what is the relevance of them? Because Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he writes that, he says that Mahaprabhu has come in the mood of a devotee to do a Charya Leela. So his pastimes in Jagannath Puri, including his pastimes in the Gambhira, are meant both for himself, but also to teach us. So Mahaprabhu is there in the Gambhira, and we have this question, then, what do we do with it? And as I've often spoken, we gave some classes about this some years ago in near Ypsilanti at the house of Jaigore, probably members. A question comes when we become a little more familiar with Gaudiya literature, and at least we should become familiar with the names of the books. Srila Prabhupada, in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says that Sanatana Goswami is given Brihad Bhagavatamrita and Brihad Vaishnava Toshani and Krishna Lila Stava, and Rupa Goswami is given Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Ujjvala Mani, and he lists different books that the Goswamis have written. And Prabhupada writes in several different purports that one should read these books and understand them. But then at the same time, there's a kind of dilemma that we often hear that well, these are very high books and we shouldn't read these things, especially books like Govinda Lilamrita and others. Once I was speaking with my Guru Maharaj and I was asking him about if I could read some certain books, and he was being very lenient with me, which he wasn't with everyone, but somehow with me, he was, yes, you should read. And and finally, I was kind of having this doubt. I thought, is he just telling me this, or does he really mean this? And so then I thought, well, I'm just going to ask about the most far out books that everybody says you shouldn't read. I said, what about Govinda Lilamrita? Guru said, yes, you should read. And I said, but Guru Maharaj Prabhupada sometimes said we shouldn't read that in Bhaktivinoda. And Guru Maharaj replied to me in a very interesting way, something which has really stuck in my mind for many years. He said that those verses of Govinda Lilamrita are included in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He's making this point that we should read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Everybody accepts that. In fact, not only should we read it, but we should distribute it. And when Chaitanya Charitamrita was first published, the Srila Prabhupada was having the devotees go out on the street and distribute those books at rock concerts to intoxicated people, half-naked people. And we should distribute that book. We should read that book. We should understand that book. But then how do we understand these verses and things? And it's for that, with that desire to understand the relevance of those verses, of those books of Govinda Lilamrita and other different literatures in a similar vein, that we want to discuss something about Mahaprabhu's Bhajan and the Gambhira, and what we call the Gura Gambhira Bhajan Pranali, the Gambhira Bhajan Pranali, the system of Bhajan done in the Gambhira. Stop for a second. Jaigore comments that some time ago in one of our Prem Bhakti Chandrika Katha's, you spoke about Prabhupada encouraging devotees to read books about acharyas. And wonder if you had some quotes on the topic compassion. Yes, I do. And if you remind me, not right now, but if you remind me, I can happily share that with you. It's something that I've been concerned about for a long time. And I compiled some things about that like in 1994, I think it was, 94 or 95, before my Guru Maharaj left. He really appreciated those quotes. So let me show you guys another purport here from Srila Prabhupada. This is from Bhagavatam, 3rd canto. Oops. Third canto, chapter 1, text 30. Prabhupada says, all the demigods of the heavenly kingdom appeared as associates of the Lord in the forms of Pradyumna, Samba, Uddhava, etc. It is learned here that Kamadeva appeared as Pradyumna, Kartikeya as Samba, and one of the Vasus as Uddhava. All of them served in their different capacities in order to enrich the pastimes of Krishna. So this is a point we've made several times, that the associates of the Lord, they appear to enhance the pastimes of the Lord according to however Bhagavan appears. If he wants to enjoy pastimes which are full of opulence, then Balaram manifests as Vaikuntha, and the associates of the Lord appear as Vaikuntha Basis, the four-armed associates of the Lord. If the Lord wants to enjoy some Nara Lila, it's mixed with some Aishvarya, some opulence, then Balaram manifests as Ayodhya, and the devotees manifest their forms as the monkeys and associates of Lord Ramachandra, etc., etc. So we were hearing about Sri Damodar and Roy Ramananda, and Mahaprabhu in the Gambhira was regularly hearing from them. And he was lamenting like anything in his association. Let's read a couple of verses. One's from chapter 15 of Anjalila, and one's from chapter 17. Say Dui Jana Prabhure Kore Ashvasan Swarup Gaya Roy Kore Shloka Patan. To enhance a particular mood that the Lord had, Sri Damodar Goswami would sing appropriate songs, and Ramananda Roy would recite appropriate verses, and they would speak about these things. And we hear this verse from Anjalila chapter 17, that Sri Damodar, he would sing songs that were exactly suitable for Mahaprabhu's emotions. Now, as we were mentioning, the Lord and his associates came in Gaura Lila in the mood of devotees to teach us how to do sadhana. But whenever someone does sadhana, they have some desire to get something. Even Srimati Radharani, we hear in the Leet Madhav how she's worshiping the deity of Krishna in Nava Vrindavan garden. And she's praying to that deity for a benediction. Everyone has some benediction, something that they want when they worship the Lord. What was it that Radharani wanted? She wanted to be able to see the Lord. She wanted to be able, by seeing him, she wanted to please him and render service to him. So everyone, when they do some kind of bhajan, they have some particular desire. We hear about the gopis and how they're worshiping goddess Katyayani so they could get Krishna as their husband. They had that fruit that they were putting, because of which they were performing their sadhana. So what was the fruit of Sri Damodar Goswami and Roy Ramananda? What did they want? Their bhajan is quite extraordinary. They're not doing bhajan for themselves, for their own pleasure. But say Dui Jana Prabhure Kore Asvasana. Their whole purpose is asvasana, to give pleasure, to give some pacification to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why they're doing kirtan. Their kirtan is not for themselves. And so this Gambhira Bhajan Pranali is like that. This is a Bhajan Pranali when we're doing kirtan for the pleasure of Guru Gauranga. And a whole nother topic, which we won't get into, but it would be a whole nother subject direction we could go in with these talks, is what was being spoke about in the Gambhira. Just to touch on it, in Anjalila chapter 15 and 17, Kaviraj Goswami mentions, in chapter 15, he says, Karnam Rita Vidyapati Shigita Govinda Ihar Shloka Giti Prabhu Kore Ananda. With great happiness, Mahaprabhu was hearing these particular books from Sri Damodar and Roy Ramananda, Krishna Karnamrita by Bilvamangala Thakur, the songs of Vidyapati and Chandidas, Gita Govinda by Jayadev Goswami. These are the things that he was hearing. And it's very important that we understand something about those books. We mentioned something in a previous session that these books, if you look in them, they're all about the mood of Srimati Radharani in separation from Krishna. So they're not really something for us. They're something for the pleasure of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sri Damodar and Roy Ramananda are singing these songs to help Krishna's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to relish the mood of Srimati Radharani. That's their business, the business of the Sakis. So I'd like to also, in this session, speak a little something about the mood of Radharani in her bhajan. It's a very, very important subject matter. We want to chant this Hare Krishna mantra, but we should understand the meaning of the mantra and the purpose of it. Srila Prabhupada in Purport in Adilila chapter 7, he speaks about this. Let me share this purport with you. Very nice purport. He says, there are sahajiyas who, not knowing the importance of the Panchatattva, concoct their own slogans such as Bhajanitai Gaur Radhe Shyam Japa Hare Krishna Hare Ram, or Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna Hare Ram, Shri Radhe Govinda. Such chants may be good poetry, but they cannot help us to go forward in devotional service. In such chants, there are also many discrepancies which need not be discussed here. Strictly speaking, when chanting the names of the Panchatattva, one should fully offer as obeisances Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. By such chanting, one is blessed with the competency to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra without offense. When chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one should also chant it fully, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. One should not foolishly adopt any of the slogans concocted by imaginative devotees. If one wants to derive the effects of chanting, one must strictly follow the great acharyas. This is confirmed in the Mahabharata, Mahajani Yenagata Sapantaha. The real path of progress is that which is traversed by great acharyas and authorities. So, why do we chant the Hare Krishna mantra? Why don't we chant the Panchatattva mantra? I've known several devotees, several persons who gave up more or less at least the stress on chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and started putting more stress on chanting the Panchatattva mantra or even the name of Guru, because they say that there's offenses to be considered in chanting Hare Krishna, but there's no offenses to be considered in chanting the Panchatattva mantra or chanting the name of Gurudev. So why chant Hare Krishna? We should chant the Panchatattva mantra. But Srila Prabhupada says an important point here. He says that by such chanting of the Panchatattva mantra, one is blessed with the competency to chant the Hare Krishna mantra without offense. He's pointing out here in an indirect way that our real program is chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, not chanting the Panchatattva mantra, not chanting the name of Radha, not chanting the name of Gurudev, but chanting the Panchatattva mantra. And why is that? And this is an important part of our discussion about the Bhajan of Mahaprabhu in the Gambhira. So let's look a little bit what Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas have to say about the Bhajan of Srimati Radharani. First of all, we're going to go to Chaitanya Charitamrita, a couple different places in Madhya Lila. I'm just going to read, there's a lot of things I want to cover. I'm just going to read some of the translations here. This verse describes how Radharani's earrings are Krishna Nama Guna Yasa, are the fame and qualities of Krishna. And Krishna Nama Guna Yasa Prabhava Bhachani, those name, fame, and qualities of Krishna, they're always inundating the speech of Radharani. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami quotes the Govinda Lilamrita in Madhya Lila chapter 17. Chiradikaya Priyata Surupata Susilata Nartana Gana Chaturi Gunali Sampat Kavita Tarajate Jaganmano Mohana Chitta Mohini. The female parrot was speaking about the glories of Srimati Radharani, Priyata Surupita, that her beauty and her good behavior are so amazing. Her artistic dancing and chanting, her poetic expressions are so attractive that they attract the mind of Krishna, who attracts the mind of everyone in the universe. This is the nature of Radharani's kirtan. Radharani's kirtan attracts Krishna. So Krishna came to relish that kirtan. And we hear in Vidagdha Madhava of Rupa Goswami that on one occasion, Radharani, she heard the name, someone said the name Krishna. And by hearing that name Krishna, she completely lost her mind. And then she was lamenting to Lalita that better that I die because I'm not a chaste woman. I've fallen in love with 3 different men. And Lalita says, well, who is that? And Radharani says, well, the first is someone named Krishna. When I hear his name, I just lose my mind. And the second person is someone who plays a flute. And whenever I hear that flute, I become completely mad. And there's a third person that Chitra Devi, she made a picture. She painted a picture of this boy. And when I see that picture, I go completely mad. So all 3 of those persons, of course, were Krishna. And Srimati Radharani, this is her nature. She's always absorbed in thinking and speaking about Krishna. So let's read a few things from Srila Prabhupada's books about Radharani's Bhajan. These is primarily from the Nectar of Devotion. I think maybe a few from Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. First of all, it's from Krishna book. Unable to find Krishna and completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness, the gopis gathered on the bank of the Jamuna. And what did they do? They chanted the names of Krishna. All the gopis, including Radharani, began to proceed further into the forest until they could no longer see the moonlight. When they saw that it was getting gradually darker, they stopped. Their mind and intelligence became absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. They all imitated the activities of Krishna and his speeches. Due to their heart and soul being completely given to Krishna, they began to chant his glories, completely forgetting their family interests. In this way, all the gopis assembled together on the bank of the Jamuna, and expecting that Krishna must return to them, they simply engaged in the chanting of the glories of Sri Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that was from chapter 30, Krishna book, which speaks about after Krishna left the Ras Leela, the gopis became Madana, mad in separation from him. So in Teachings of Lord Chaitanya in chapter 31, Prabhupada comments in one sense, Radharani's sense of hearing is eternally fixed on Krishna's name and fame. This is what Radharani is eternally fixed on. She's always hearing Krishna's name and fame. So it's not that the gopis come to Radharani and they start chanting Radhe, Radhe, Shyam Radhe. They don't do kirtan like that. Rather, they come to Radharani and they chant Krishna, Krishna, because that gives pleasure to Radha. If they were to go and chant Radhe, Radhe, Radharani would say, stop it. What kind of noise are you making? Don't do that. Again, from Nectar Devotion, chapter 30. When Srimati Radharani first saw Krishna, she suddenly became conscious of all transcendental happiness, and the functions of her different limbs were stunned. When Lalita, her constant companion, whispered into her ear the holy name of Krishna, Radharani immediately opened her eyes wide. This is an instance of alertness caused by hearing the sound of Krishna's name. Again, from Nectar Devotion, chapter 29. One day, Srimati Radharani was churning yogurt for Krishna. At that time, the jeweled bangles on her hands were circling around, and she was also chanting the holy name of Krishna. All of a sudden, she thought, I'm chanting the holy name of Krishna, and my superiors, my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law, may hear me. By this thought, Radharani became over-anxious. This is an instance of feeling guilty because of devotion to Krishna. Again, in Nectar Devotion, chapter 18, Prabhupada says, in the Krishna Karnamrita, there's another statement about the chanting of Radharani. It is said by one of the associates of Radharani, O Lord Govinda, the girl who is the daughter of King Vrishabhanu is now shedding tears, and she's anxiously chanting your holy name, Krishna, Krishna. So this is the mood of Srimati Radharani. And our bhajan is more fixed on Radharani than it is on Krishna. Jan Chandra Goswami in his Gaur Govinda Smarana Archana Padati, he gives a verse. He says, Vina Radha Prasadina Krishna Praptina Jayate, that we should always think of Radha and Krishna together, because Vina Radha Prasadina Krishna Praptina Jayate, without the mercy of Radha, you'll never get Krishna. In Raghunath Das Goswami in Swaniyama Dasakam, he makes a vow. He says that I won't go near anyone who worships Krishna but doesn't worship Radharani. And he says, even if I get an email from Krishna in Dwarka asking me to go there, he says, I won't go. But if I hear that Radharani has gone there, even without any invitation, I'm going to run to that place. So we want to understand what is the mood, this very, very deep esoteric mood in this place known as Gambhira, which means very deep. There's a beautiful song that my Guru Maharaj sang, which we printed both in Embankment of Separation and in Mathura Meets Vrindavan, from a book called Hari Katha Padavali. This is in chapter 16 of Mathura Meets Vrindavan, which we're just working on now. Krishna Kunj re-editing it. Let me share this song with you. Jamuna tatina kule kele kadambira mule muraloi chalalo twaraya. Srimati Radharani, one day, feeling separation from Krishna, couldn't live anymore. This is the height of her ecstasy this song is speaking about. Radharani, her desire to die. In one lecture, my Guru Maharaj spoke about how Mahaprabhu's Bhajan is a desire for death. What does that mean? That's the last limit of love. When someone feeling so much separation, they can't live without the beloved anymore, they desire to die. And this song expresses this feeling of Srimati Radharani. Krishna's left. He's going to Mathura and Dwarka. She doesn't know if he's going to come back anymore. And she can't tolerate that separation anymore. So these are her final words of instructions to the gopis, that Jamuna Tatani Kule, you should take me to the bank of the Jamuna, and there Keli Kadambira Mula, you put me down in the mula, the root of this Keli Kadamba tree that I used to meet Krishna under. Mori Laili Chalalo Twaraye. At this end of my life, you take me there. Because Ante Meru Bandhohai, this time of my death, that Keli Kadamba tree is my only friend. And the Jamuna and the Keli Kadamba tree is my only friend. Jamuna Murti Kaloi, Saki Mona Lipa Sarvigai. So my dear gopis, you take me there, and you take some of the mud from the Jamuna and smear that all over my body, because that black mud from the Jamuna reminds Radharani of Krishna. She feels like she's being embraced by Krishna. And then Radharani tells the Saki, Shama Nama Tarupari Lika Sabha Sahachai. Lika means to write. She says, at that time, in that mud, you write the name Sham. You write the name of Krishna in the mud in my body. And then Tulsi Manjari Diotai. Then you offer Tulsi Manjaris to that name of Krishna. And then at that time, Amare Bhishtana Kori, all of you come around me, Bole Sabi Hari Hari, and you all chant the name of Krishna, Hari, very, very loud. And then Jakona Parana Bahirai, then I'll leave my body. So this is the height of Radharani's ecstasy. And this is the ecstasy that we find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu relishing in the Gambhira. When Radharani is feeling separation from Krishna to the last limit, to the Bhakti Naipunya, the last limit of Bhakti expressed in these feelings of separation of Srimati Radharani, then she sings like this. She calls all of her Sakhis to come around her. Take me to the bank of the Jamuna. Put me underneath the Keli Kadamba tree. At this time in my life, these two are my only friends. Take that mud from the Jamuna, smear it all over my body, and write the name of Sham. And then all of you gather around me and chant the names of Krishna, and I'll leave my body. This is the heart of Radharani's feelings, the last height and the heart of Radharani's feelings and separation. This is the feeling of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Gambhira. And this is the function of the gopis and the Sakis and Manjaris. They come together and they do kirtan for the pleasure of Srimati Radharani. Again, it's not that those gopis, they don't go to Radharani and they start chanting Radhe, Radhe. Radharani won't appreciate that. They go there and they chant Krishna, Krishna. And so it's for this reason that Rupa Goswami describes in Laghu Bhagavatamrita in the beginning, in his Mangala Charana, the fourth verse, he says that Sri Chaitanya Mukod Girna Hare Krishna Iti Varnakaha Mujayanta Jagat Premni Vijayanta Tadabhaya. That this Hare Krishna mantra came from the mouth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is why we chant Hare Krishna and not chanting the names of Radha, or not chanting the name of Gauranga Mahaprabhu himself, although we sometimes chant the name of Radha, we sometimes chant the name of Mahaprabhu and his associates. But our primary kirtan is the kirtan of Krishna's names. Because that chanting Krishna's name gives pleasure to Srimati Radharani. And our kirtan is meant to understand the pleasure of Radharani. We want to do kirtan like the gopis are doing, to give pleasure to Radharani, who's now come in the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna's come and adopted Radharani's mood. And therefore Mahaprabhu repeatedly tells everyone, Balo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Gao Krishna. My Gurus used to quote this quite often. So just glorify Krishna, worship Krishna, chant Krishna's name. Krishna Vinu Keha Kichina Bhaviya. Don't think of any other name but Krishna. And I remember in 1993, when I first met my Guru Maharaj we went up to Canada and followed him some, and then he went to Seattle, where I formerly was the temple president. And he was giving a class, and he started speaking to me. My name was Nityananda Das at that time. And he quoted this beautiful verse, which we later found in Chaitanya Bhagavat. And in the class, he quoted this verse, and he addressed me. He had a kind of a habit when somebody would come to him, he would give some special attention to them for a few classes, and that was my special class in Seattle. And he quoted this verse here I just put on the board. Jadi, this is Mahaprabhu speaking. Jadi ama prati sneha take sabakar tabi Krishna vyati rita nagai vyar. He said, Jadi ama prati sneha. If you love me, and take sabakar, then you're going to follow my instructions. And what is my instruction? Tabi Krishna vyati rita nagai vyar. Don't chant my name. Chant Krishna's name. Don't chant any other name. This is because he's in the mood of Radharani. And sometimes some people, they say, but if we chant Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name, there's no question of offense and we'll get benefit. Well, you're thinking of your benefit. But when Mahaprabhu says this, he's teaching us the mood of the Sakhi Manjaris, like Sri Damodar and Roy Ramananda and their followers, Rupa and Raghunath Goswamis, Raghunath Das Goswami, Rupa Goswami, who are doing kirtan for the pleasure of Mahaprabhu, not for their pleasure. And they know that Mahaprabhu is in the mood of Radha, and Radha wants to hear the name of Krishna. She doesn't want to hear herself glorified. She wants to hear the name of Krishna. So therefore Mahaprabhu told the devotees, if you want to please me, then what you should do, you should chant the name of Krishna. Don't chant any other name. Now, at this point, we can point out that in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, there are several different beautiful verses, and a number of verses in our Shastra, glorifying the name of Radha. Let's look at some of those. I heard once that some devotee once came to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. I tell this story sometimes. And Radhakunda said, Guru Maharaj, there's such and such devotee, and he's become so advanced, he stopped chanting the name of Krishna. And now he's just chanting Radhe, 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 Radhe. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta then quoted these verses from Brahma Vivarta Purana. He said, oh, do you know, so beneficial. You know what happens if you chant the name of Radha? Ra Shabdam Krivate Trashtatadami Bhaktamuttamam Da Shabdam Krivata Paschadyami Shavana Lobata. That Krishna says this. As soon as Krishna hears someone vibrate the first syllable Ra, then Dadami Bhaktam Uttam, I give them the topmost prem bhakti. But then the next moment, Da Shabdam Krivata Pascha, they say the syllable Da, I lose myself and I become intoxicated in Krishna Nam, and I start running after that devotee. Yami means I'm coming after them. Shravana Lobhata, because I want to hear that name of Radha. And then it goes on. Rasa Bhutcharanadeva Spito Bhavati Madhava Dasa Bhutcharatat Pascha Davateva Sambramaha. That when you chant the name, the syllable Ra, Spito Bhavati Madhava, Madhava Krishna becomes ecstatic. And then when you chant the syllable Da, then at that time Krishna, he becomes so ecstatic, he starts running after that person. That's pretty good. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta quotes us, and then he says, but we have a better program. We don't chant the name of Radha. If you chant the name of Radha, Krishna will come running after you, but we have a better program. We chant the name Krishna. And Srimati Radharani comes running. So understanding this inner mood of Srimati Radharani and Krishna, understanding this inner mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is why Srup Damodar and Roy Ramananda, they're not doing Gora Kirtan. They're not showing up at the Gambhira and offering artik to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and singing Jayo Gaura Chandra. Mahaprabhu would put his fingers in his ears and go running away. You wouldn't do that. But they're going and they're chanting Krishna's names because they know that by chanting Krishna's names, that's going to give the topmost pleasure to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's their desire. And therefore, Krishna says this thing, we're just quoting, Vina Radha Prasadi na Krishna Praptana Jayate. Without the mercy of Radha, you can't get Krishna. So how do we get the mercy of Radha? By chanting Krishna's name. And by chanting Krishna's name, Srimati Radharani becomes so very, very pleased. By chanting Krishna's name, Gurudev becomes very, very pleased. So this is the kirtan of our Sampradaya. And there's so many different statements also in Shastra. I'm not going to go so much in that direction right now, but a little something. Niranjan Maharaj likes quoting this verse from Amchalila chapter 1 of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which speaks about the importance of hearing Krishna's name from Guru and the devotees. Kaviraj Goswami says, Krishna namira mahima shastra sadhu mukhi jani, namira madhuri aiche kahan nahi suni. One has to learn about the beauty and transcendental position of the holy name of the Lord by hearing the revealed scriptures from the mouths of the devotees. Nowhere else can we hear the sweetness of the Lord's holy name. So Mahaprabhu is living this to teach us how to do bhajan. That to do bhajan, we have to hear from a devotee. He's hearing from Srup Damodar and Roy Ramananda because he's in the mood of Radharani. He's in the mood of Radharani who's suffering separation from Krishna. And when she's suffering from separation from Krishna, the gopis come together and they do kirtan and they keep Radharani alive. Tavakatam ritam tapta jivana. That name of Krishna, that kirtan of Krishna, gives life to the gopis. You hear this verse in the Gopi Gate, chapter 31 of the 10th canto. And Mahaprabhu was very fond of this verse too. So Srup Damodar and Roy Ramananda came to do kirtan because they're gopis. They understand the mood. They understand the mood of Radharani. Krishna himself can't understand the mood of Radharani, because he's Priti Vishroy, is what we spoke about in the beginning. He's God. He has that position. To understand the mood of the devotees, he has to come as a devotee, and as a devotee, he has to hear from the devotees. And so this is the Gambhira Bhajan Pranali. This is a system of bhajan going on in the Gambhira. And therefore, Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya chapter 22 says, a verse which we quote quite often, Tate Krishna Bhaji Kore Guru Seva, that our Krishna Bhajan, that's our Guru Seva. So when Krishna came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mood of Radha, wanting to taste the mood of Radha, he couldn't do it in Navadvip. Because in Navadvip, there's so many different moods. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kuru nandana bahusaka yanantascha buddhaya vyabhisayana. That if you want to progress on this path of bhakti, you have to become ekantic, one-pointed. But he says those persons who are bahusaka, who are multi-branched in their consciousness, they don't get the proper fruit. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Navadvip is Mahabahusaka. He's reciprocating with so many different devotees. He's reciprocating with Sachimata and with Vishnu Priya and with Mukunda and with so many, many different loving devotees in Navadvip. But they all have different moods. And he wants to relish the mood of Srimati Radharani. So to do that, he takes sannyas. Sannyas means Gopi Bhav. Sannyas means Radha Bhav for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He becomes one-pointed, and he dedicates everything in his bhajan to understanding the mood of Radha. And in that mood of bhajan and sannyas, he comes to Jagannath Puri, and in the Gambhira, he locks himself up in a room with these two personalities, Sri Damodar and Roy Ramananda, who are Lalita and Vishaka. And they do kirtan in the mood of the gopis. They do kirtan singing about the different songs of Chandidas and Vidyapati and Bilvamangala Thakur, which express the feelings of Radharani, so that Krishna can understand the mood of Radha. And those personalities, they engage their servants in the same activity. The gopis all come together to do kirtan for Srimati Radharani in her separation. And similar, the same gopis, headed by Lalita and Vishaka, they come as Sri Damodar and Roy Ramananda, and they engage Raghunath Das Goswami and Rupa Goswami, who engage their followers, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and others who engage their followers, and all of them are doing the same thing. They're doing this Krishna Kirtan. But the Krishna Kirtan that we're doing is not for our pleasure, it's not for our benefit. Tate Krishna Bhaji Kore Guru Sevan. Chaitanya Charitamrita says that we worship Krishna, we're worshiping Krishna, that's our service to Guru. This on the board is such an important point, very simple verse, but this is the essence of our Sampradaya. Tate Krishna Bhaji Kore Guru Sevan. That I'm going to please my Guru Dev by doing Krishna Bhajan. I know one devotee who, for his Guru Dev's Vyas Puja, or for Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Vyas Puja, actually, he developed a bunch of 6-foot-high photographs of his Guru, put them on the walls of his house, and was chanting Jai Guru Dev, like this. And he said, this will please Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I don't know, maybe it would, but I don't. My question to him was, I don't know if this will please your Guru. We please our Guru by chanting Hare Krishna. So Tate Krishna Bhaji Kori Guru Sevan. Our service to our Guru is to do Krishna Bhajan. And what does that service to our Guru mean? That's Nikunja Yuno Rati Keli Siddhya. Srila Prabhupada was once asked by Rameshwar Prabhu in Hawaii about this verse, Nikunja Yuno Rati Keli Siddhya. And Prabhupada revealed that this verse means book distribution. This verse means preaching. That Gurudev, he's engaged in assisting the gopis in bringing Radha and Krishna together by doing this book distribution, by doing this kirtan of our Sampradaya. This is the kirtan which is meant to help Radharani to ease her feelings of separation. Because Abhinatva Nama Naminam, this is Nam Tattva, the holy name is Krishna. And so when the gopis chant that holy name for Srimati Radharani, Krishna actually appears there directly as the holy name, and her feelings of separation are mitigated and keeps Srimati Radharani alive. So that those feelings of separation that Radharani have is the highest pinnacle of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, Siddhanta. It's the highest point of the Bhagavatam. The 47th chapter speaks about, the 10th canto speaks about the Brahma Gita, which speaks in turn about the madness of Srimati Radharani and separation from Krishna. And we hear how that Brahma Gita manifests again in Jagannath Puri and the Gambhira. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is relishing that mood of separation from Srimati Radharani. And he's feeling a desire to die. That's stated several times in different places in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat, because his love has become so intense, his feelings of separation, he can't live anymore. And so the gopis in the form of Sri Damodar and Roy Ramananda come and do his kirtan and keep him alive. And by doing that kirtan, they're helping Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Nomi Krishna Sarupam, he is Krishna, but Radha Bhava Duti Sivalitam, he's in the mood of Radha. They're helping him to taste that mood of Radha. They're keeping him alive. They're helping him to fulfill his desire to understand the mood of Radha. And who can do such an intimate service? That's the Sakhi Manjaris. Radha Krishna Pranamur, Yugala Kishore, Jivane Marani Gati Nahi Armur. Narottam Das Thakur sings that this is my desire in life and death. My only desire is to bring Radha and Krishna together. So we bring Radha and Krishna together by helping Krishna understand the mood of Radha, helping Krishna understand the Radharani's nature of Radharani's bhajan, which to understand it, he comes to do bhajan. But all the gopis and Sakhis, they're also coming in Gaura Leela, and they're helping do that kirtan. And they're so kind because it's such a universal debt. Krishna says, Napariye hamnida vadya samyujam, I can't repay this debt because Radharani's love is unlimited. Krishna is known as Asamurdva. He's Asama of Urdhva. No one is equal to him. No one is greater than him in the position of being God. But also Radharani is also Asamurdva. No one is equal to Radha or greater than Radha in terms of feelings for Krishna. So it's a great debt. It's an unlimited debt that Krishna has. And to repay that debt, he's engaging all the universe in doing kirtan. And this is the secret of the kirtan of our Sampradaya. This is the kirtan. This is the bhajan pranali of the Gambhira. Very, 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 very esoteric, very, very difficult thing to understand. We don't have adhikar to read Govinda Lilamrita and Krishna Bhavanamrita and these very, very high books. But what we can do, if we don't have adhikar to read those books for ourselves, but if we're reading those books for the pleasure of Gurudev, and we're reading those Tate Krishna Bhaji Kode Guru Sevan, and we're reading those books for the pleasure of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Gurudev is coming in this line, my grandma used to say, is a line of Sakhi Manjaris, following Sri Damodar Goswami and Roy Ramananda, who are Lalita and Vishaka, following in the line of Rupa Goswami's Rupa Manjari, following in the line of Raghunath Das Goswami's Tulsi Manjari. They're helping assist Sri Damodar and Roy Ramananda in the Gambhira, and their followers are helping assist them, and their followers are assisting them, and their followers' followers are assisting, and their followers' followers are following. This is the kirtan of our Sampradaya. This is why, the very esoteric reason why we focus on chanting Krishna's name, because we want to please Radha. If you chant Radha's name, that's very wonderful. You'll please Krishna. But we have a better program. We chant the name of Krishna and we please Radharani. I'd like to read you a little something from the Nilachal Braja Madhuri by Rasik Mohan Vidyabhushan, which speaks about this nature of Mahaprabhu's bhajan and the Gambhira and the mood of Sri Damodar and Roy Ramananda. And Mahaprabhu, with his hand, he gave a kind of wink. A wink means a subtle indication. He ordered Sri Damodar Goswami to sing. And Sri Damodar Goswami then begins singing, Shira Ladu Kori, Vishamishaiya, Abala Balaki Tilo, Susvada Paya, Kaite Kaite, Nikate Marana Belo. He sings about Krishna, but in such a way, and who can understand what he's singing? That someone, it's Krishna he's speaking about, he's not giving his name directly, but Krishna took a milk ladu and mixed it with poison and gave it to a weak girl. And finding that ladu tasty, she ate it again and again. Nikate Marana Bela. Nikate means to be close to, on the border of. Marana means death. So eating that ladu again and again, which is so tasty, but it was mixed with poison, she's approaching death. This is the kirtan of Srimati Radharani. And when Mahaprabhu heard that, he started crying. And he said, alas, what's happened to you innocent Braj girls? He's in the mood now of a gopi or Sakhi Manjari himself. And he's calling out to the other gopis of Braj, what's happened to you poor innocent girls? You've fallen into such cruel hands. The love of Sham is not just nectar. It's poison mixed with nectar. And you didn't know that. And even if you knew it, then what? No one can resist this temptation. Agni jaiche nijadam dekaiya abiram patangire akarshiya mare. Krishna aiche nijaguna dekaiya hariman seshe dukkha samudreti dhare. This is the nature of Krishna Kirtan, just like a fire. Agni jaiche nijadam. This is the nature of the fire. It attracts flies to come to it. In the same way, Krishna steals the heart with his wonderful beauties. But what happens, Seishi, at the end, dukkha samudriti dhare. You're just falling into this ocean, samudra of dukkha, of great lamentation and misery. And then Mahaprabhu started calling out, Gopi, Gopi, because this is his mood. He wants to understand the mood of Radharani, the mood of the gopis, and he's crying. And then Ramananda Roy came and started wiping his tears away and said, hey, Doyamoy, ocean of mercy, be calm. We can't be steady if we see how upset you are. Look, look. Basu Mahasaya, this other devotee, is weeping tears when he sees you in this mood, and your servant Govinda Das is falling to the dust like a madman. And then Ramananda Roy wiped the tears from Mahaprabhu's eyes. And Ramananda Roy was stunned. He couldn't find the proper words to console the Lord. Then Mahaprabhu finally controlled his feelings and became a little calm. And Sri Damodar Goswami said, Mahaprabhu, now you should go and see the Artik of Nilachal Chandra, Lord Jagannath, within the mandir. And Mahaprabhu replied with a voice, choked up voice, I thought of suppressing my feelings that rage like a fire and not hurting anyone by revealing those feelings. But I can't just remain calm. Sarup, you have to sing another song. I'll listen calmly. And after that, I'll join you and I'll go to the temple. Sarup became a little worried and said, which song? Then Mahaprabhu thought, and he said, that song you once sung in the Gambhira, Navina Poseda Mina, Madanana Jani. You remember that? How you sang it with so much emotion, and it touched my heart. It's as if the Braja Biharani, Radharani, is sitting within Chandidasa's throat and reveals the Viraha Bhav within the immortal word. Braja Biharani means that Virahini, Viraha means separation. Viharani is a lady, the lady of separation. Srimati Radharani, as if she's manifested in the throat of Chandidas. And she's revealing this Viraha Bhav in the material world. How captivating is that song? And then Sri Damodar Goswami said, well, not all the songs always come out so well. In other words, these songs have to be sung with emotion, with feeling. This is real poetry. Poetry is not something you just recite in a mechanical way, but you have to speak it with feeling. This is the essence of song. Unless a wave of feeling descends from above and touches the heart, no song can reveal rus. He said, anyway, I remember one song. And he says, singing, Ki hoilo, morakano piriti, ake jori, hiapore, prana kande niti. He says, what happened? Kihoilo, kihoilo, morakanu apriti. What happened? What happened to me? I had this kanu apriti, this love for kanu. And now I'm just crying and crying. My heart's burning. My life air is weeping. I don't know what's happening to me. He says that my life air has become like a fish. And the fish in the monsoon thinks everything's very, very good. Now there's so much rain coming down. Everything is very wonderful. He says, this is like my heart, which has been pierced with love for Christians, like that fish in the beginning of the monsoon season. And this, he says, iti chandi dasa kavi hoile fan para. It blows the mind of the poet Chandidas. And then when that song was completed, Mahaprabhu took Ramananda Roy's hand and he said, here, this song is coming out even more clearly than when you sang it the other day in the Gambhira. And only one sound reverberates in my ears. Navina posita mina marana najani. Mina means the fish. And the fish, they don't understand. It's the beginning of the monsoon. They think, oh, it's so wonderful. All this rain is coming down. Everything is all this good. But Navina Poshita Mina Marana Jani, those fish doesn't understand that it's going to die. Marana Jani. He says, Ramananda Roy, I don't know whether you saw it or not, but this is the same scenery in the village. There's a pond with cultivated fish. And in the scorching summer heat, the water of the pond begins to evaporate, and those fish, they suffer. So this suffering is just like that of the life airs. Our suffering is like the life airs of this agitated fish. And then after the scorching heat of the summer, the monsoon rains start filling the pond. It's called a gullah, flood or posha. And then some fish, they feel so happy, they think this is just complete nectar. But they forgot about their suffering in the scorching summer months, and they try to jump on the land, and then they fall in the hands of the fish eaters to die. And he says, this is a condition of the girls of Braj when they fall into the deluge of love for Krishna. And when Mahaprabhu said this, his eyes became filled with tears. He got up and went to see the Artik of Lord Jagannath. So this is the mood in which he's going to see Lord Jagannath, the mood which has been enhanced and established by Srup Damodar, by Roy Ramananda. And then when he goes to see Lord Jagannath, that's the real mood of darshan, that mood of crying, and crying in separation from Srimati, that Srimati Radharani has. So this is a Gaura Gambhira Bhajan Pranali. And we follow in this line. We may not be qualified for it, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he told Srivas Thakur in Chaitanya Bhagavat in Madhya Lila, this verse in Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's beautiful purport, Janma Janma Tomara Paile Morasanga. He told Srivas Thakur that birth after birth, you'll always have my association. And Toma Sabara Britya. Britya means the servants. All Sabha means all. Toma Sabara Britya. All your servants also. Odeki Be Moraranga. All your servants will also see my pastimes. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta writes in his purport, when the Lord performs his pastimes in this world, his associates come with him and engage in his service. Persons who are counted as servants of those associates also receive the opportunity to realize those pastimes of the Lord. This is the kirtan of our Sampradaya. This is a very, very esoteric purport why we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he says, he stresses this Hare Krishna mantra. All of our acharyas stress this. I'll finish with this quote from Srila Prabhupada from a lecture he gave in San Diego. We are preaching that you take to Krishna, surrender to Krishna. Krishna said the same thing we are saying. We're not manufacturing it. Why should we manufacture? The words are already there. We haven't got to manufacture anything. But what is that kirtan? How do we understand it? What is our role in it? This is the kirtan of our Sampradaya. And unless we understand it in a deep way, unless we understand something about this Gambhira Bhajan Pranali, the system of Bhajan from Mahaprabhu in the Gambhira, then how can we understand what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give? Anarpita Chirim Chiret Karuna Avatirnako. He came to give something which had not been given in a long, long time. And that thing that he came to give is not just Radha Bhav, but it's Manjari Bhav. That Manjari Bhav is a mood of the young girls who are assisting the gopis such as Lalita and Vishaka in doing kirtan for the pleasure of Radharani. So that's a lot of things, as my Guru Maharaj would say, a lot of big words from a small mouth. Please forgive me if any of you get a stomachache from all of this. But this is very, very important subject matter, understanding something about Mahaprabhu's Gambhira Bhajan Pranali. And it makes it legal for us. As my Guru Maharaj told me, you should read Govinda Lilamrita. He said it's there. The verses are from it are quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. But those verses don't belong to us. I don't have Adhikar. But Tati Krishna Bhaji Kodi Guru Sevan. I'm doing it for the pleasure of my Guru, who's doing it for the pleasure of his Guru, who's doing it for the pleasure of his Guru. And this is the kirtan of our Sampradaya, assisting Rupa Goswami, who's Rupa Manjari, assisting Raghunath Das Goswami's Tulsi Manjari in their service to Roy Ramananda's Sri Damodar Goswami, who are Vishaka and Lalita, who in turn are assisting Krishna, who is wanting to taste the mood of Srimati Radharani. We're doing this Krishna kirtan. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. If anybody has any questions or reflections or anything, we'll go ahead and read them. Ujjala Rasiga, comment something. This is the way we should do bhajan. This is how we do darshan. This is what's been transferred from Lalita Vishaka to Rupa Raghunath and other Goswamis. And they transferred this further and came to us. This is a very deep purport of darshan, a very deep purport of Krishna kirtan. In our movement, we want to get everyone to do kirtan. We want to engage everyone. But we should be careful and understand the very deep esoteric purport of the Hare Krishna mantra and why we chant it. And not just think that we're just here to do some business and just to increase the numbers of followers in the temple or to collect some money for us or to make buildings or something. But ultimately, all of this is about serving Srimati Radharani. Krishna himself is coming as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to serve Radharani to repay his debt, but he can't find enough wealth in his kirtan, so he has to have some help. So we're trying to help him in the do kirtan, and we're trying to help him by getting other people to do kirtan. And not everyone has the adhikar to understand some of these topics. It's not necessary in one sense. We just get them to chant Hare Krishna. But for ourselves, we should know something about this very, very deep purport of the Gambhira Bhajan Pranali. Otherwise, we may end up giving it up. Or as I've seen some people think, oh, it's better to chant the name of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Nityananda, or better to chant the mood of Gurudev. But as Srila Prabhupada said in that first purport that we were reading from, that he's speaking about the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. He said that by chanting this Panchatattva mantra, then we become purified, that we can chant the Hare Krishna mantra. So we chant this Panchatattva mantra. We recite prayers to our Gurudev every day to help us to understand their mood in chanting Hare Krishna so that we can assist them in their kirtan. And assisting them in their kirtan is our purpose of our life, is the purpose of our Sampradaya. So, it's a little thoughts today. We'll stop there. Jai Krishna Prabhu, can I read what you said? You said, Hare Krishna Prabhu pranams. How should we try to implement some elements of the bhajan of the Sri Damodar and Roy Ramananda within our own bhajan? I have to go now, but I'll listen later to the answer. So, it's not that we should start reading Govinda Lilamrita. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was once approached by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, requested him to print Govinda Lilamrita, because it is such an important book. And Bhaktivinoda finally said, yes, you print 2 copies, one for you and one for me. Because who's qualified to read that? But we have qualification to read Chaitanya Charitamrita, because the bhajan that's being spoken about in the Anchalila, the verses which are cited from Govinda Lilamrita and Krishna Karnamrita and in Gita Govinda and other places, those verses, the mood of them, it's like we're reading this Nila Chala Bhajan Madhuri, and Sri Damodar Goswami was saying that it's not just the song, but it's the mood of the song which is so important. And the mood of those songs in the Amchalila, it's Sri Damodar and Roy Ramananda, and they're singing it not for their benefit, but for the pleasure of Krishna. So similarly, in answer to your question, how do we implement some of the elements of their bhajan? We do that by serving our Gurudev, just exactly what Srila Prabhupada has told us. Going out and distributing books, going out and doing Harinam, distributing prasadam, maintaining a temple, maintaining this movement, but do it with a particular consciousness. That I'm doing this, Tate Krishna Bhaji Kode Guru Sevan, I'm doing this for the pleasure of my Gurudev. And understand, Nikunja Yuno Rati Keli Sijai, we sing this every day, that my Gurudev is trying to bring Radha and Krishna together through the means of this Gambhira Kirtan. And so that's why I want to please Gurudev. He's going to be pleased if I get everyone to chant Hare Krishna. If I distribute Srila Prabhupada's books like anything everywhere, he's going to become so very pleased. That's the mood of Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami. That's the mood of Sri Damodar and Roy Ramananda. That's how we assist them. I hope that helps. Anybody else with any reflections or comments? Ujjwala Rasiga, oftentimes you have to go. We're happy to have you here today. Do you want to share anything? Do you need to leave soon or anything? She's working in the hospital a lot of times. We lost some of the devotees who are in India already. It's getting late there at night. Anybody else with any reflections, comments, questions? Jaguar, did you have your hand up? Anytime. Jaguar first. Go ahead, Prabhuji.
Me?
Go ahead, Jaguar.
Okay. I was speaking with a friend the other day, and he said something I thought was really beautiful, that basically the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Radharani are more powerful than our fallen condition. You know, the mercy is stronger than our fallen nature. I thought that was nice, and I was kind of contemplating it more, and actually to think, my thing I was adding in my own mind is to think that you know, to allow the fact that I'm a fallen conditioned soul to get in the way of me accepting the mercy of Radha and Krishna and Mahaprabhu is actually a covered form of Mayavad philosophy, because I'm thinking that something material is more powerful than something spiritual. So I was thinking about that, and then I had a question.
Let me just reflect on your comment real quick too. That we chant Hare Krishna, we do these things because it gives pleasure to Gurudev. It gives pleasure to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So if we're thinking that oh, I'm so fallen, I can't do it, then we're thinking I'm more important than Krishna. I'm more important than Gurudev. What's important is what Gurudev wants. And even though I'm so fallen, I have no adhikar for it, I must do this thing. My Guru Maharaj told me that that person is so heavy, you have no other choice.
Yeah, actually the question was, it was a question / reflection. I just want to see what you think about it. It's on a similar line of what you're just speaking, because you were saying, you know, we have to read these books for the pleasure of Gurudev. We have to read them for the pleasure of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I was thinking at that point, I was saying, reading these books for the pleasure of Gurudev means what exactly? And I was saying my understanding is that my bhajan is entirely for the pleasure of Gurudev in one sense, because I know Guru wants me to get prema, and hearing beautiful things about Radha and Krishna is essential to that. So I was wondering if you could.
Yeah, that's we speak sometimes about the best Dham Seva is Nam Seva.
Yeah.
Because when we go to the Dham, you can go to the Dham and take from the Dham and take pictures and take prasadam and take memories and have an ecstatic kirtan. But if you go there to contribute something, it's far, far better, and it's appreciated so much by the Dham. And so what is the best service we can do for the Dham? We can establish the spiritual world there, or reestablish the spiritual world, or make the spiritual world brighter, more visible, you can say, by doing kirtan. Because otherwise, the Dham is becoming covered over by liquor stores and meat eating and selfish activities of different people. So we just go and remind them of kirtan. And also doing that kirtan there, then, those great personalities who are there eternally, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and like Raghunath Das Goswami and Sri Damodar and Roy Ramananda and Rupa Goswami and others, they're very, very pleased seeing us do that kirtan. We're doing it as a service for them. So we get so much benefit from it. It's just, is that a helpful?
So just kind of reading with the understanding that it's pleasing to Guru and Krishna, is pleasing to Guru and Krishna. Is that, yeah.
Just like if you're out on the street, sometimes people want to come and give you something. And, I've had people, once somebody offered us some eggs or something, and they don't know what you want, but they want to please you and say that that's okay, I don't really need it. Sometimes they want to give you money. Of course, depending on your level of consciousness, some devotees might like that a whole lot. Maybe I like that. But if they chant Hare Krishna, if you can get them to chant, you feel so ecstatic. Who gives a damn about their stupid money? Their money is so contaminated with stool and urine all over. You want to wash your hands after you touch their money. But if they come and they dance in the kirtan with the devotees, you feel so blissful. So try to. I'm such a miserable, fallen, nasty conditioned soul, but I'm still feeling happy when I see them chanting. So what kind of pleasure is Gurudev going to get? What pleasure are the associates of Mahaprabhu going to get? Prabhupada once said in Conway Hall in London that Narad Muni and Lord Brahma came to see the devotees doing kirtan. And they were so ecstatic seeing the devotees doing kirtan. They're so happy to see that. So if we do that kirtan and we engage other people in that kirtan, we can understand by our own happiness. We're like a little ant in our perception of happiness compared to this giant elephant of Rupa Goswami, and even that's not a good analogy. They're getting unlimitedly greater happiness. So we're doing it to please them. They're so happy with that. And we make money. Money's not bad. Distributing books is very good. But we do that to help the holy name. We collect money because of the kirtan party needs some money to go out for bus fares and whatever things and to pay for devotees prasadam. And there's some money was required, but that's kirtanakya bhakti. We do navavidi bhakti in connection with kirtan. Whatever services we do all of them in connection with kirtan. That's perfect. But if we start building temples and we're not thinking of kirtan, we start collecting money, we're not thinking of kirtan. We start trying to make devotees or followers, and we're not thinking of kirtan. We're just thinking of numbers of people and how we should train them. We're thinking about how to maintain the building and pay for the electrical bill every month. We're thinking about, how to have a big score and distributing so many books. And we're not thinking about all of these things in connection with the holy name. Then it's Sukriti, it's Bhakti Mukhi Sukriti, but it's not directly Bhakti. It's not directly the same thing that we're going to get when we do this service in a conscious way, understanding how this serves the holy name and how it brings pleasure to Guru and Gauranga and their associates. Okay?
Yeah, that's great. And I was also thinking when you were speaking that, just reminding that Bhaktisiddhanta says that, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada says that The Harikatha is the Surup Shakti of Hari Kirtan also. Thank you,
Yeah,
Prabhu.
thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for what you're doing. I watch the videos almost every day, little clips, you know. I can just offer my pranams and think you have taste for the holy name. I'm so unfortunate. I have no taste.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Thank you for what you're doing. Gornitai Prabhu, you want to share something with us?
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So I'm thinking how to keep this consciousness in the practical life, because now I'm here in Hungary and my Guru Maharaj asked me to go out and distribute book. And I did. And I really controlled myself not to go out for a long time. And it happens, and it was very nice. It's beautiful feelings. And then I go home, or the next day I go to the temple, and I'm so tired that my brain is not working. So when I try to feel this what you say, and maybe the other devotees doesn't know what to do to increase the mood of the kirtan, so I have to do myself inside, but I'm stuck in my tiredness. So how to do that? So I supposed to get a lot of mercy from my Guru Maharaj. And when I want to realize it in Kirtan, it's very hard. Sometimes it's works, sometimes not. So do you have any idea how to keep more this mood, how to reveak it when I am tired, for example?
That's what our whole society is all about. That's what the temple is all about. That's what New Brajadam is all about. Maharaj is giving us wonderful nectar, Radhasham Sundar, Delnitai Vijay Garanga, and all the paintings and all the kirtans and all the books and things just to inundate us. Sri Chaitanya Mukodgina Hare Krishna Iti Varnaka. This is the mood of Mahaprabhu. Majayanta Jagat Premni. Mukodgirna means Udgirna means that he's vomiting, he's exploding. His kirtan is exploding out of his heart. So this is really what preaching means. As Vaisheshika Prabhu says, we fill our glass with milk, and then when we keep filling it, and when it starts overflowing, that's our preaching. Because otherwise, we've seen over the years, sometimes devotees go out and even they do very good in terms of numbers of books or something and money collected, but then they stop doing it. They just go away. They meet some beautiful girl on Sankirtan or something, and they just run away with the girl. And they stop their activity. So first we have to be focused on our Nam Bhajan. And Maharaj is always emphasizing it so much. And the kirtans and festivals and things in New Brajadam, that's what it's all about. But we want to fill that cup with the milk of Radhasham Sundar, and then we want to overflow it and just go out there and just ecstasy. We have so much happiness from that Radhastami Kirtan and that Govardhan Puja program. We just go out and we just want to share that with everybody, or the Kirtan from the morning program, or the japa that we're doing. But we need to remind ourselves quite often. Otherwise, as Arjuna says in the first chapter of the Gita, I'm forgetting myself and why I'm here. And in this condition, I only see causes of misfortune around me. So when we go out in Sankirtan, if we forget ourselves and we're not acting in that ecstasy and that happiness, and then we forget why we're there, and we start seeing just causes of misfortune. This is really a bummer. These guys are really hard. It's cold. It's wet outside. And people are being nasty to me. I don't want to do this thing. Really, Sankirtan properly, the Sankirtan of Mahaprabhu and his associates is Premanam Sankirtan. It's done with ecstasy. And we're not like the associates of Mahaprabhu, but when we meditate on the pleasure of Gurudev, Mahaprabhu, Kirtana, Nitya Gita, Varita Madhya, Manasorasin, and how he's in so much ecstasy during that Kirtan, and how Samsara Davanaralita Loka, how he's just like a Ganatvam, he's like a cloud pouring down mercy and putting out the fire of material existence. And I'm here and I'm assisting him. Wow, it's such a thing. When we can keep that foremost in our consciousness, then we can do book distribution. But when we forget that, Then, as Arjun said, for our benefit, I forget why I'm here. I forget myself, and I only see causes of misfortune, and everything becomes very, very depressing. So we have to be reminding ourselves of that constantly. And I've seen doing book distribution over the years that we should be every day, we should hear Bhagavatam. Every day we should do kirtan. Every day we chant our japa nicely. And if we do that, meditating on the mood of Subdhamara and Roy Ramananda, the mood of Prabhupada, the mood of our Gurudev, and their happiness, their pleasure, and seeing books distributed and things, then we feel so much happiness and so much humility that somehow I'm being engaged in their service. I'm such a miserable person, but I'm able to go out and help contribute in this way. Is that helpful, Prabhuji?
In principle, yes. My problem is when I'm tired, I just cannot use these principles.
Yeah. You know what we used to do in Los Angeles? Rameshwar Prabhu was sending us out for book distribution. And if we were really in Maya, we really had a hard time or something, we would phone, first I would phone Janaka Rishi, our Sankirtan leader. And that purport, which I'm quoting from Prabhupada's first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjun's forgetting himself and he only sees causes of misfortune. That Janaka Rishi read that to me once on Sankirtan and helped me. And then if we really had problems, then we called Rameshwar Prabhu and he spoke to us. And the principle is there, not that we have to have a phone call to your Guru Maharaj or to Bhaktipad Maharaj or something like that. But Bhaktipad Maharaj wants to help like that. The principle is there that the devotees, when we're not feeling inspired, then we go and associate something with devotees. We sit down for 5 minutes and we read something from Bhagavad Gita or Chaitanya Charitamrita, read from Adi Lila chapter 7. Wow, it's so ecstatic about how Mahaprabhu is spreading the holy name. And then you get some inspiration from that. And if we don't feel inspiration, then we can cry in our heart and pray that, my dear Lord, I'm so fallen, I don't feel any inspiration. But still, I want to do this because I know it's going to please my Gurudev. So I'm going to try. And that's an even greater austerity because I don't have any taste. And I'm feeling really depressed maybe, and I'm feeling really in the modes, but I'm just going to try because I know they want this thing. I'm going to try and try. And if we have that humble kind of mood, Krishna does miracles. That's my humble comments. You're more of a book distributor than me. I was doing that service for many years, but it's been a long time since I was doing it. So, Krishna, thank you. Ujjwala Rasiga, are you there? She wrote something. She said that her phone froze. Okay, I'm just going to read her comment, then she's not here. Her phone froze and she couldn't unmute herself. This kata is profound and brings so much gravity. Humility would be the automatic byproduct. Knowing how small and far I am from the sweet truth is also great hope, because I'm given this connection that it will eventually take me there. Yeah, it's inconceivable. It's inconceivable how far away we are from this and how undeserving we are of this, but that what mercy is being given and distributed. And we have to meditate on it. We have to read these books. We have to contemplate in these books and try to understand the mood of our acharyas and the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay? Anybody else with anything? Otherwise, we'll go ahead and stop. Okay. Nobody else wants to just share anything? We'll go ahead and stop then. So I want to thank everybody very much for walking with me in the pathway of these katas. I know all the devotees in South Africa, you're all very busy. They keep you very, very engaged, which is really wonderful. And it was difficult for you to have time so much to come with us, but I really, really appreciate spending the time. It's nice also seeing Natalia and Krishna. And all the devotees. So I want to give an invitation. I'll write about it in a little WhatsApp group to Chaitanya Prabhu and others. If any of you want to, you're welcome. We have another WhatsApp group with Jai Gaur and Hari Chandra Prabhu and Vanitai and Natalia and others. And we're giving class once a week, usually on Wednesday evenings. I may adjust that, but you're also welcome to take part in that if you want to. It's an intimate summit. I'll post some link there for you guys if you'd like. Anybody here in the room want to share anything? Okay. So I want to thank all of you very, very much. Chaitanya, will you want to share anything at the very end?
Not particular points, but probably there was so much that you've touched on. It was lovely hearing those poems and getting those deeper understanding of consciousness. So those are very sweet. And I think, again, it helps us to just try and realign our consciousness for why we're doing certain things in our devotional service. And it's not an easy matter just to try and, philosophically try and make the shift. Obviously, something within the heart that needs to take a change. But at least we can understand the direction which we need to face in, because we've been stuck in so many different formats of what we're hearing about, doing service mechanically and all those kind of things. And you're right, it really does dry you up as a devotee. So it's something for us to contemplate on. And Krishna Bharam and I were just chatting offline also about this. And so it'll be interesting how we can adjust it. But we also think it was a fitting end to our last session here. Thank you so much. It's been really wonderful to go through these kathas with you. And thanks for highlighting all these wonderful subject matters to us. For us, many of us, it's pretty new. So it's a lot to digest and understand, but it's so refreshing in so many ways. And as I mentioned earlier, the perspectives are so important. So it's obviously sad to have the last katha for this year, but I think it's also an opportunity for many of the devotees to take it all in. And then, as you said, we can share the different kathas so that others can join in where possible. And then we'll revisit what maybe next year looks like for some of these kathas and see how we can take the next steps. But just thank you so much for always taking the time out and giving your time and also encouraging us in this way. So really appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Chaitanya. I had to tell you, when I went to South Africa, we've been there, what, twice now? Yeah. The devotees are really, you guys are like thieves or something, no I'm saying, but you stole our heart. The devotees are so very, very sweet and gentle and kind-hearted there. And it really touched me. And I'm just really touched with what you do. It's not an easy place to be. A lot of times there's a lot of violence and crazy things that go on there, and just the whole passionate material world on top of that. You guys are there, and I just really, really appreciate what you're doing. You're better than me. Thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure to serve you, Prabhu. Well, just as Krishna Bharam mentioned on the last one, and now that we're here in India, is still a struggle. South Africa is still an option. We have a few new ideas there also, but maybe we can talk about this offline at some point.
We could maybe do. Mukunda mentioned something in an email recently.
Oh.
I don't know. We really don't know. I would ask all the devotees to be so kind to say a prayer for us. Just not even a prayer that we go back to India, the Dham, just a prayer that we understand what Krishna wants for us to do.
Yeah.
We see his vision, and we can accept that and act accordingly. If he wants us to stay outside of India, we can keep doing it, but we don't like being a burden on devotees. We don't want to go places and just to eat and sleep. We want to go there and do some service and help people in their lives and do something to make some impact. So if you devotees could pray like that, I'd be very great, because we really don't know to this day. It looks like now we're really hoping that we could go to for Radhanath Maharaj's Yatra, but that's going to finish on the 25th of this month. And even if tomorrow we get the green light that we've got visas, then it's going to take a couple of weeks for us to get the visas, and then we're going to have to try to get tickets, and tickets are going to be extremely expensive to go to India and try to get them. It's going to be crazy. So it looks like we're pretty much giving up on the idea now of going for Radhanath Maharaj's Yatra. We're still hoping to go for a friend of ours' wedding. She's watching this. I don't know if that's going to happen or not either. Whatever Krishna desires. So, anyway, thank you, Chaitanya. And Krishna Bhavan. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Prem Purushottam Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki, Go Prem ki, Go Ansha Kalpatavidusha. I'm just trying to bring everybody here all at once and see everybody's smiling faces last time. Thank you all so much. Beautiful faces. Hare Krishna.